Hi, this is Mary Lurson. I'm the Executive Director of the NAMM Foundation, and welcome to this episode of Talking at Music Education. We're also coming to you today, Facebook Live, from Summer NAMM here in Nashville, Tennessee. So wonderful to have you join us. Please let all of your friends know that we're having this little chat with Towne here at EnterTalk Radio and coming to you from the NAMM Foundation. So I'm just thrilled to have with me, I already feel younger sitting next to you, the powerhouse duo Towne, and this is Steevie Steeves and Jon Decious. Welcome to
Thank
Talking
you.
Music
Thank
Education.
you. We're happy to be here.
The energies just walked into the room and we all just started levitating. So we just really love it. So we're going to talk all about what you're doing and all the cool things that are happening in your musical lives. But I want to get you in the time machine a little bit and talk about how it all started when you were just kids like 2 or 3 years ago. So we know
Right.
we know that you're young'uns and got great aspirations and futures. But it all started somewhere, even just it was maybe not as long ago as when I started it all. But tell me what happened in school. What was going on in school for you for music and arts and your experiences?
I talk about this a lot. But I was really fortunate. I came from a really small town in Pennsylvania called Blairsville. And shockingly, we had somewhat of a music program, so that was good. But I had no idea that was going to be part of my life. I was really, really shy. Yeah, I know. I say that.
What
people
happened?
are like, "You are so."
She
bored."
had bigger glasses than I have on right now when she was a kid.
I was so shy. I used to hide behind, my mother's legs when I was little. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't know how to. I just always kind of felt uncomfortable. I was not outgoing, but I did have the outlet at school to kind of, adventure through singing and what that's like. And I was just really, really lucky because I had a teacher in middle school who heard me sing at a talent show, and he was like, "You're really, really good, and I think you really need to audition for musicals, and I would be really thrilled if you did that." And so shout out to Mr. Thorne, who was with me all through middle school and high school and, got me to break out of my shell. We didn't have a lot of money in my school, but he pushed for it. He wanted the best for us. So that's kind of where it really started for me.
You had an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You had a talent.
Yeah.
It was recognized.
Yeah, thankfully,
and someone who stood with you
Mm-hmm.
and just said, I think, the minute you said you should really try out for musicals,
Mm-hmm.
your whole demeanor just like shot up and became like, obviously something just flowed through you that this was something you needed to be doing. In your
I
life.
always wanted to. I used to watch, my sister, she's a year older than me, and so she got to audition for the musicals a year before me. But I had my Aunt Andrea, who's 10 years older than me, who, even when I was, 6, 7, 8 years old, I used to go watch her perform, and she was on stage and singing and in choir. And, I was like, this little person inside of me was like, I could do that. I hope someday I can do that. And thankfully, with the, teachers that we had that were so passionate about giving us that opportunity, who fought every bit of the way. So we have a guitar.
Yes,
I got sidetracked. We were looking for a left-handed guitar, and this is awesome, so we found one. I found somewhere to open up and something to look forward to,
Yeah. Well, you said it was a small town. It was an undersourced school district. It didn't have anything, but there it was.
Yeah.
And the essential elements were there, which was a talented teacher who would recognize students who had a passion and a gift, and he stayed with them, and here you are.
Yeah.
You know, and our podcast and our work at the NAMM Foundation is all about making sure that every child has that opportunity. Now,
Yeah.
they may not end up in Nashville with a music career that you're pursuing, but it's still in them in some way, and that it's something that needs to be recognized and nurtured. So
Yeah, I mean, he was
the story is
incredible.
valuable to
He
share.
took buses of, I mean, he was like, so we're going to have this fundraiser, and I really want you guys to go to New York City, and I want you to watch Beauty and the Beast on Broadway. I want you to have that experience. And he did.
So he did all
He
this-
took middle schoolers and high schoolers in 2 big tour buses from Pennsylvania, and we traveled all day up to New York, and we all, you know, I think we got hotel rooms, and then, you know, he was like, I want you to dress properly. I want this to be an experience for you. And we went to New York one year, and then one year we actually went to Canada. We went to Toronto to see The Lion King. And it just like, I mean, I just cried and said, this is like, there's nothing you can't do. And I think that's what he was telling all of us all the time, was that there's nothing, like, yeah, we're from a small town, but nothing is going to stop me from putting you guys, you know, on the road. And I want you to experience this because this is attainable. Like, this is something that you can do. This is something that you can go after if it's in your heart, you know, so.
And I think
was
it's in the
lucky.
heart of so many kids. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
Right, every
Oh,
child,
yeah.
really.
Yeah.
John, how about you? What was your journey?
You know, mine was a little bit different than Stevie's. I was too, and from a very small town in Kentucky, which they're all small towns in Kentucky. They're except Lexington, I guess, maybe Louisville, but very, very, very rural. And I started playing the the recorder, I guess, in 3rd grade. And I was in
That's
a couple.
about when you played the recorder,
yeah. And so I
right?
was in a couple of plays there, and just I guess I just wound up kind of being naturally good at all of them, and I didn't know why or anything, but
Because
but-
you're not going to know when you're in
yeah,
third
yeah.
grade.
You just have no idea. It was
You just get to do what you get to do. And
Yeah.
if it's there, you do it. And if you're good at it, you do it more.
Right. And so I'd done that, and then my mom was in college, and so she went to the University of Kentucky, and so we moved to Lexington for 4 years, and that was huge. I went to this great school, it was a little magnet school called Julia R. Ewing, and we had this wonderful teacher. I can't remember her last name, but her first name was Mary Jane, and she had the biggest red hair on top of her head.
And you were little then, so it was probably even bigger.
Yeah. Oh, and she was amazing. And I'll never forget. Yeah. So in the well, she was the choir teacher, but she was very passionate. But they had orchestra in elementary school in Lexington, which just blew my mind. You know, I come from this very small town where that's not even a thing.
Yeah,
and
that's
so so I was able to play cello in 4th grade, and all these people from these other magnet schools were coming. You know, oh my goodness, would you consider coming here? They actually recruited elementary schoolers back then. Maybe they still do. I don't know.
They do, actually.
They
gratefully. And it's a, fairly standard part of a really good music curriculum.
Sure. But it was kind of the same thing with the cello. It kind of came very naturally, very easily, and so I didn't really appreciate it. I was like, oh, that's cool, whatever. And so, but the next year I was able to be in the band, and I played trumpet, and the same thing kind of happened with that. I was like, I just was naturally able to do it, I guess. And so I didn't really maybe appreciate it, but what I'll never forget was Mary Jane Parker. Parker was her last name, Miss Mary Jane Parker. And so we had choir, and I was always really shy about singing. I was always in the choir, but never wanting to maybe step forward as a soloist or anything. And I'll never forget, we had, do you know who Carl Orff is?
Oh,
who invented the Orff instruments?
Right.
Okay.
Orff
So,
Bodai,
yeah,
yes.
so this was my fifth grade. And I don't even know where to start. Okay, so we had this one Christmas program, and me and my friend, Josh Brown was his name, we were kind of joking around about maybe auditioning. We were kind of making a joke out of the soloist part, the singing part. And so we kind of jokingly went up to the front of the room and auditioned. And they kept having cuts, and I kept being there. And sure enough, I wound up winning the solo, the falsetto, whatever part. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I did that too. And then, so the same kind of deal happened with the Carl Orff thing. We had auditions, and
this is the you're playing the little xylophone.
Yes.
All
And
the
so
instruments, all the ostinati. And,
yes.
Yeah,
and so after the confidence I had gotten from just kind of joking off and auditioning for that solo part, I was like, well, maybe I'll just kind of joke off and try out for this thing too, And sure enough, I was accepted and got to perform at the University of Kentucky Theater. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a big deal because it was on KET, right? Yeah, which was our PBS up in Kentucky.
You're on TV.
I know.
Doing Orff instruments.
I know.
Big time.
I wish I could have a recording of that.
I think it exists.
I bet it,
I think
really?
I think my mom's got it.
Yeah.
Calling your mother right
my
after
mom's
this.
got it. And so, but it was the amount of confidence that it built for me that I never got in a geography class or any other classes. It was something that I never found anywhere else. Was the it was all about confidence and obviously the music side of it too, which I didn't know existed until I did.
Well, you are close in age to those experiences relative to someone like myself. I'm farther away in age from those experiences. But we've also, through our research, we've looked at this very, very closely. What's going on in a third grader, in a fourth grader, in a fifth grader, in a sixth grader, in a seventh, and what is, it's talk about, it's really validation. You have this, we're wired to do this through our neural networks and our psychology and our genetics. We're wired to do it. We have the opportunity to do it. The feedback loops get started, that you want to keep doing it, like you just described.
Yeah.
Well, I did good in that audition. I think
maybe I'll do another one. Sure.
And then the feedback, and then the competency keeps growing because you just, right?
Yeah.
Am I describing it?
Oh, no, that's
The
exactly what
next
happened.
It's a domino.
And you're still only 14 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're already in this affirmation loop and competency loop, and you're expanding, you're trying things that are harder.
Right.
And you're doing more, and you keep reaching.
Yeah.
And if you were really inspired by geometry, you probably would do that too.
Absolutely.
But it's just, or athletics, and we know the athletics.
Sure.
So we've, again, kind of validating your experience to the things that have been studied and why collectively we want every kid to have this chance.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter where you are sitting in life, in whatever kind of community or school, if there's a music room, a music teacher, and they all kind of have that passion.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean,
Absolutely.
they're kind of, you don't do music because you go, let's just kind of.
Right. I will say one thing just about my hometown that I wasn't able to get back to because I never went back to school there. But my mom went to school there, and I have tons of friends that did. Wayne County, Kentucky, has one of the best bands in the nation. And it
Really?
It's nationally recognized
I didn't know that.
So it was just a passionate band director that my mom had, and he only retired a couple of years ago, but now his son took it over.
And as a shout out from us, all of us here at NAMM and NAMM Foundation, to all those communities that hire good teachers and hang with them and stand with them and provide through thick and through thin and good times and bad times in communities and allow these pros. I was a kid who came from the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, and there was this opportunity to learn music. And I look back now at the adults who were there when I didn't know what was going on. I said, how did they make these decisions to make sure I had this opportunity? And then I would say, now we're the adults now. We have to make these decisions and be the advocates.
Yeah, I didn't
Make
realize,
sure. Right.
growing up that how lucky.
And now you're making this part of your
Absolutely.
yeah.
We take every
Your
opportunity
message.
we can.
I mean, yeah, I remember, the county choruses and district chorus, regional, and all of that stuff. Like, I can just remember, like, my sister wasn't the best. Like, she didn't want to be like the star of anything. She didn't want to try out for solos, but she really enjoyed choir, and like, it just I remember. I was like, you really need to audition for county chorus. I think this would be really fun for us, And I mean, I still can't read music till this day, but I did have a lot of people that, found ways to, help me learn. It's like math to me. It's weird. It's weird. I don't do that. But I still had a teacher that said, that doesn't matter. Like, you still have an ability, and we'll work around it.
We're gonna work through that.
And music education is one
Yeah.
of the places where there's enough weirdos to be like,
Yeah.
you just can't learn that way. And they're cool with it.
Or creative. They're creative enough to go
Absolutely.
through this. All right, so we have this little angle here. We're going to go around it and figure out that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Inventive.
So you've been
Everybody can get involved.
so articulate and so generous in your descriptions of your early training, and generous and thankful towards your teachers and the opportunities you've had, and I really thank you for that. But let's talk about what you guys are doing now. I mean, this is ultimate coolness. Tell me what's happening with the group. We'll talk about the formation and getting to know each
Okay.
other, but what's happening with Towne? What's going
Right.
on with this
Well,
duo?
yeah. Well, right now we're just kind of we've been writing a lot. We signed publishing deals, which for anyone that might not know, that means that we've fooled someone into giving us money to write songs, and doing that. And we'll actually be in the studio next Monday. And
Yeah, we're recording some new tracks. We came out with an EP last year called Games We Play, and it's really gotten us to the next step.
it's kind of the first domino that fell, and it was ting ting.
Yeah. So we were able to put that together and put it out to the world, and got some really great feedback, and a lot of doors have opened for us through that. And we're just taking each step and soaking it all in. But I think after we came out with our EP last year, that's when things really started to take a different formation for us on a bigger level. But yeah, it's been incredible. We're writing with a whole bunch of people, like Jon said, and just kind of creatively exploring avenues to take us even, further to where we want to
So
be.
did it come together as a vocal songwriting duo, or a vocal duo doing covers, or
It was kind of so. Well, to go back to where it did start, so we had both applied to this songwriting seminar in Wyoming, held by this guy Skip Ewing, who is a Hall of Fame songwriter, is an incredible guy.
This was back in 2010.
Yeah, and so anyways, we submitted songs, and we were accepted to go out to this thing in Du Bois, Wyoming, and we were on the back of horses, and long story short is that we found out that we lived behind the same liquor store on 8th Avenue.
You lived in Nashville.
Yeah.
You never met
We were
each other.
neighbors. He
Like,
lived right next door
A
to
street
me.
apart, yeah. And so anyways, it kind of, and I was much more of the writer maybe side of my brain, but that's kind of why I'd been there. And she was a great writer, but she also happened to be an incredible singer. And I guess another long story short was when you're getting going in Nashville, you play a lot of songwriters' nights, and they're pretty miserable.
What are they called? Circles? Or?
Well, the rounds.
The rounds,
So,
yeah.
so they have
Right.
those, but when you're just getting going, that's pretty much all there is to do. It's just to get your name out there and all that. So.
And there's a lot of them.
They're everywhere every night.
I mean,
so,
you never know there could be so many songwriters in one place.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they're
And
everywhere. Yeah.
and so I was doing a lot of those around that time. And Steve and I had kind of started singing together a little bit. This was a little bit after we'd met, but I was like, well, do you want to go be miserable together? And she was like, okay.
Turned out it wasn't miserable at all.
No,
we had
no,
so
no.
much fun. We were
Yeah,
playing quite a bit, and I think the more we played together, obviously we were neighbors, so we were spending like every day together. We were pretty inseparable since Wyoming, really. And yeah, the more we sang and the more we wrote music together, it was just kind of like this camaraderie that formed that I think came across when we were at these rounds. You know, it was like finishing, we were, you know, our banter back and forth can get pretty interesting, but, you know, finishing each other's sentences because we were just spending so much time together. And, you know, our voices are very different. But after a while, people were like, do you have a CD? Like, do you have something we can listen to?
So it was appealing.
Yeah.
You had you had the chemistry of the creative product, the musical thing.
Yeah.
It was just starting to create, it had an identity. People kind of go, I want to take that home with
Yeah.
me.
We had
I want more. I want it to be part of my life now.
Yeah, and we had no,
And
like,
we said, well,
no
we're not a band.
Yeah, we're not a band. We never thought, like, we didn't have a name. You know, people were like, what's your names? Like and I'm like, I'm Stevie, and he's like, I'm Jon. But we never had a, you know, I can still remember the time we went home and we were in my apartment and we brought up Facebook and we're like, you think we should do this? Like, put a band name out? And then we were trying to think of, like, what to call ourselves.
Because anymore, like, that's how you make a band official. Or maybe a relationship, too, is when you put it on Facebook.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it was
It's
a big
like,
deal.
well, now it's a thing.
It was a
you
thing.
know, but before then.
But we were really excited about it. And, I mean, as soon as we had enough songs, we went straight to the studio and recorded a few. And ever since then, we've just been nonstop doing that. And going for it.
Wow. So next week you're going back into the studio?
Yep.
Yeah, we wrote a couple songs that we think are really special. So we don't want that opportunity to pass by. And we have a really great creative team for these couple songs, people that really believe in us, Bonnie Baker and Ryan Peterson. They'll be co-producing, and we can't wait to do it. It's going to be pretty cool.
Will it be a CD or another?
It's just, we're going to go in and with them and just record 2 songs.
And just see what...
with
Yeah,
them.
to see what happens.
Just because we like them so much and we wrote the songs with them. And so we're just kind of thinking, you know, it might not be a bad idea to collaborate together.
What about live? Are you performing live in Nashville? And do you go out, do runouts? And
Yeah, we'll be in Memphis tomorrow night for anyone watching on Facebook Live. We'll be
at the Towne Cafe. Mm-hmm.
And we're also doing a thing for AT&T because a short story about that. We were supposed to play there at the end of May down in Memphis, but this big line of storms came through and knocked out all the power in Memphis. And so, but AT&T came and like we're letting people charge their phones and doing all this stuff that they didn't have to do. And so when we rescheduled the show, we were like, is there anything we can do to show our appreciation to AT&T because we think that that's really cool. And so we're doing an in-store performance tomorrow at like 1:30.
Yeah.
So so we're
That's
playing
cool.
twice.
yeah, great.
Yeah, we'll be up in Cincinnati in a couple weeks too.
So you're doing that too?
Oh yeah, we
You're-
try to get on the road as much as possible. We just got our van a few months ago, and so we take a band out with us. And
Named her Betty White
yeah, our band name is Betty White.
because
You
she's
know-
never going to die.
Yep.
You know, we've had the, oh, that's wonderful. We had the great Betty White. We have had really a great time through NAMM and the NAMM Foundation of getting to know some other younger groups like that are doing what you know, and they have a van too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they also, and when they're on the road, they're staying in Airbnbs because they kind of want to be in someone's spare room and they want someone to kind of adopt them and say, you want to do some wash?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just kind of, you're letting it happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Yeah.
letting some goodness come back too, that some people help you and right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
build a
It's-
network and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, music, that's what music does is, you know, we try to bring people together as much as possible, you know, through it, because then there's really no point. I mean, that's the way we see it. I mean, of course, I'm sure music can be a very, you know, personal thing, but when you want to put it out into the world, when you're the creator of a certain kind of music and you have something going on, you just hope that it connects with people and that it's doing a good thing, you know, because then there's no, what are you doing it for? You know?
Well, I hope as, you know, someone who's much older than you, both of you, probably combined about as old as you.
Oh my goodness.
But I would say, don't be discouraged, because that wonderful energy is really what we're all seeking too. We want it from you.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I think that's also really inspiring to all the young people that are in our network through our college program, our Generation Next program. You know, at NAMM, we really want to encourage and empower all of you to bring it on.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, bring this next version of all this good creativity forward, because that's why we have faith in the future. Really, is because what you're all doing. So, and we want you to stay in touch with all of us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and be part of our network too. So we have a guitar that entered the room. I have to acknowledge via our wonderful associate Bethany Gilbert, who did who did a massive romp through the Summer NAMM Show above us. And yes, we could find a left-handed guitar, and this looks like a beautiful one.
It's
I know.
absolutely beautiful.
What do we have here?
Cole Clark?
Cole Clark,
But it
out
looks
of
like-
Melbourne, Australia.
But it looks like a beautiful
This is-
instrument.
It is beautiful.
This is beautiful.
And we're just doing a very spontaneous tabletop concert here that Towne has offered to treat us with. Can you give us a little update?
That
of
sounds
what
pretty
you're-
good.
That sounds amazing.
Any little
What you want to sing?
what you're going to sing for us?
What do you think? Should probably step back.
This
if I'm
is a
gonna-
spontaneous moment. They've had the whole podcast to think about
I
what
know,
they're going
I
to
know.
sing, and now they still don't know.
Let's see.
Right. What are you going to sing?
Nobody has a guitar pick, do they? I do. Bethany is
Bethany
just...
has the guitar pick. Bethany,
Bethany?
step into the camera here so we can
Yeah.
everyone can see Bethany
So-
delivering the guitar pick. A guitar,
Let's see.
a capo.
She's a superhero today.
She is. Left-handed guitar.
You ask and you I need $1 million.
Step right in here.
$1 million.
Here's Bethany. We want to thank Bethany. The
Thanks,
miracle.
Bethany.
Yes.
There's literally nothing else that she could have done. You want to do this song?
And what is this song?
Yeah.
You want to do
Yeah.
that? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm just winging it here.
We take requests, everybody.
So this song it's called Hang Ups. Do you want to tell them about it?
It is about, sometimes I get really serious in my songs. This is probably not one of those songs. It's a little more lighthearted. But it's a song about, you know, a guy that might be, he's a really nice guy, but he's just a little too nice. And I can't really wrap my mind around that. And maybe he just needs to, like,
Well, you're
know.
looking at me because I think we know what.
I don't know.
Because you think I know about this, and you know what? I think you're right.
It might be relatable, you know what I mean?
Like I was saying, I think that's why you're looking at me, because
Yeah.
I think you know, I
Yeah.
think we know what we're talking about here. Okay.
I'm not alone. I have a feeling.
Right.
So yeah, you'll just have to listen to the lyrics. It's but yeah, it's called Hang Ups.
Co-wrote? You wrote
Yep.
both?
Yep, we wrote it. We wrote it
We
together.
wrote it with
and
our
then
buddy Evan.
Evan Hutchins,
Hutchins.
who actually produced our EP. So he's amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, this
try
is a pretty new song, and yeah, we're gonna play it.
Bought me flowers on the first date, on the second date, and on the third date.
Oh!
Calls me up in the morning and in the evening and in between.
Like
then.
10 times.
Already talking about diamond rings. Oh my God, what's happening? Only known you for a week. Boy, I know I'm gonna have to let you go. I'm sorry, but I should have told you. I don't wanna meet your mama. You should know I'm not that kind of lady. Been sinning since the day they made me. Don't think you can change. up my makeup. Enough, got too many hang-ups, hang-ups. I'm a little more last call. You don't even like alcohol. You fell in love with my southern charm. But what about the tattoos on my arm? I got a couple exes you haven't met. Try to meet them every chance I get. I got a couple exes you haven't met. I get what I want when I want, where I want to get it. Already talking about diamond rings. Oh my God, what's happening? Only known you for a week. Boy, I know I'm gonna have to let you go. I'm sorry, but I should have told you. I don't wanna meet your mama. You should know I'm not that kind of lady. Been sinning since the day they made me. Don't think you can change me. I got too many hang-ups, hang-ups. Too many to bring up, ain't messing up my makeup. Enough, got too many hang-ups, hang-ups. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. Already talking about diamond rings. Oh my God, what's happening? Only known you for a week. Boy, I know I'm gonna have to let you go. I'm sorry, but I should have told you. I don't wanna meet your mama. You should know I'm not that kind of lady. Been sinning since the day they made me. Don't think you can change me. I got too many hang-ups, hang-ups. Too many to bring up, ain't messing up my makeup. Enough, got too many hang-ups. Well, I got too many hang-ups, hang-ups. Too many to bring up, ain't messing up my makeup. Enough, got too many hang-ups, hang-ups.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that
Thank
one's
you
fun
so,
to sing.
so much.
Thank you for having
Boy,
us.
that was just great. Well, this has been, what a way for us to spend our time here at Summer NAMM with Talking at Music Education and EnterTalk Radio, EnterTalk Radio, excuse me, to have Towne with us. And
Thank
to take
you.
us out with such a great, great song. Great luck in the studio next week, in Memphis this weekend, and all the things that you're doing. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of you
I
somewhere.
sure hope so.
Somewhere. Be sure you come through NAMM in January, and who knows where we'll connect. But believe me, we're going to be following you guys
Thank you
wherever
so
go,
much.
and wish you
Thank you.
all the very, very best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for joining us here at Talking at Music Education live from Summer NAMM in Nashville, Tennessee. And we hope you join us often so together we can keep music education strong. Keep music education strong. I'm all choked up by this great energy and talent. Thank you so much, Stevie and Jon, for being here.
Thank you
and
very
thank
much.
you all for joining us. That was
Yeah.
except for my blah 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 blah.